Hey there, folks, and welcome back to Water Cooler Quarterback, where we act like we know things about football. My name is Andrew, and the concept of pretending like we know things about football has never been more true. Because with week 6 in the books, it seems like nobody knows anything. We saw a wild week of NFL football. So much craziness happened that we've just got to go ahead and break it all down. So today, we are going to be looking at some of the biggest surprises and disappointments of NFL Week 6. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. The first surprise I want to talk about is actually something that's kind of been going on all season long, and I feel like I got to make up for it. See, I owe Jakobi Meyers of the Las Vegas Raiders a sincere apology, because when the Raiders acquired him, I called it a meh signing. I didn't think that it moved the needle on the Las Vegas Raiders too much. In actuality, he has been a fantastic addition for the team. Looking at his stat lines in a vacuum, you're not exactly going to be blown away. But the stat lines don't tell the whole story because he has come up clutch for them several times this season. Whether it's touchdowns, first downs, big plays, this guy's doing it all from the wide receiver 2 spot. And this is a team that desperately needs plays like that. They need their offense to get moving. So in terms of a player wildly outperforming my expectations, I gotta say, Jakobi Meyers is a big surprise for me this season. As for a disappointment though, less than one quarter into the game, CJ Stroud's historic streak of unintercepted passes finally came to an end. He'd already broken records after not throwing a pick through the first 5 weeks, but this is just a streak, a stat line that I was really enjoying keeping up with. Every week, he was just building on it, and every pass he threw without an interception was just making it harder and harder for any future rookie to catch him. But alas, all good things must come to an end, and with a final total of 192 passes without an interception, CJ Stroud is officially in the record books. And though this number is now set in stone and he can't continue to improve upon it, I do think that Houston is pretty satisfied with their second overall pick. Also, despite the disappointment of throwing his first interception, it didn't seem to hinder Houston too much because the intercepting Saints player promptly fumbled and gave the ball right back to the Texans. It takes a special quarterback to throw an interception and still get the first down. And at the end of the day, they won the game, so I don't think it's hurting Stroud too much. And next up, we have got a pleasant surprise wrapped up in a candy coating of disappointment. If you were watching the Panthers-Dolphins game, you saw a different Panthers team than you had seen all season long. They were making plays, they were moving the ball, they were getting defensive stops on one of the league's best offenses. They were up 14-0 in Miami. They looked like a team that had finally put it all together, and I was thinking, this might be the craziest upset of the weekend. And then they gave up 35 unanswered points, eventually losing 42-21. And that last touchdown that they got, the only consolation prize that they could have was actually a pick 6 on Miami's backup quarterback. So their offense literally did nothing outside of the first quarter. So I don't really know what to take from this game because on one hand, the Panthers did it. Like they got it. They showed it. Proof of concept. We know that they can move the ball. We know that they can pass, catch, run. They can score points. But on the other hand, they only played like that for one quarter. So I'm genuinely curious what you think about this game. Go ahead and head down to the comments and let me know. Tell me what you think is the more important takeaway. Is it a good thing that they finally showed some life on offense and managed to move the ball and score some points? Or is it all the more disheartening that only lasted for the first quarter? Are you happy that we finally saw some positives, or does that just make it worse that they completely fell apart the rest of the game? I don't really know what to make of it myself. Like I said, this is a pleasant surprise wrapped up in disappointment. So I don't really know what to make of this Panthers team right now. And it does look like head coach Frank Reich is handing over the play calling duties, so maybe we'll get a different look at this Panthers offense, and hopefully that'll be a good change. But, rough week 6 for Carolina. And another disappointment, the Chicago Bears. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I believed in them. I'm sorry I hyped them up. I'm sorry I said that they were going to be a good team, because it's pretty clear they are not. Because in week 6, we saw the team that they actually are. It's clear that week 4 and week 5, where the offense was really humming and DJ Moore was looking like the star that we thought he was going to be, those were the fluky weeks. Those were the outliers. Weeks 1, 2, and 3, much more representative of what this team is. Because here in week 6, they repeated it again. And it doesn't help that Justin Fields now has a dislocated thumb and is probably going to miss week 7. I don't know. I had so much faith in this team, and it's just really disappointing. This is just a bad team, which sucks because I was so excited for them, and I'm done looking for silver linings with them. I'm done justifying it, making excuses, saying, no, it's actually, they're going to be fine. No, the Bears are truly bad. They've got things to figure out. Thank goodness they have their own first-round pick and Carolina's first-round pick, because right now they own the first and second pick in the draft, and they can do a whole lot with that because this team needs some work. I said heading into this game that both the Vikings and the Bears still had hope for a wild card push, but after that performance and with Justin Fields out, I don't think this Bears team is going anywhere. So I'm super disappointed in Chicago because we saw what they could be, and then they just went right back to being bad. But maybe the biggest surprises of the weekend were a pair of upsets. The Cleveland Browns taking down the undefeated 49ers, and the New York Jets beating the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm not sure which of these wins was more impressive. The Jets were without both Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed, two of their premier defensive players, and they actually only had 4 active defensive backs this game. Some of them are like practice squad guys, and they managed to keep down A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. And unfortunately, what we've been talking about for weeks now with the Eagles finally came home to roost in Philly. This team is still not firing on all cylinders, and it wasn't an issue when they were still winning games, but it finally came back to bite them, and they lost. Jalen Hurts threw 3 interceptions, and that last one really cost them the win. And like I said, mistakes are okay so long as you keep winning, but there were just too many of them. Philly has got some things to figure out because they do not look like the Super Bowl contenders we saw last year. And then the Browns did the unthinkable. Every week we talk about the 49ers' arsenal of weapons, and the Browns' defense kept them quiet. I want to point out that the Browns' defense is holding opposing offenses to just 200 yards a game. We haven't seen a defense like this since 1970. Not even those classic Baltimore Ravens teams or Pittsburgh Steelers teams. No, these Browns are truly generational. Because even that 1970s Vikings team that had that elite defense, think about how different the game was back then. They weren't putting up yards and points like they are today. So this Browns team is far more impressive even than that. Brock Purdy looked downright pedestrian. He didn't cross the 100-yard passing mark until late in the fourth quarter. And I get it, Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel all went down with injuries, but the fact is, no team is truly healthy at this point. I mean, the Browns didn't have Nick Chubb, so I don't want to hear 49ers fans complaining about how they didn't have CMC. But to credit the 49ers, I mean, they had that game in their hands. They drove down the field, and it just was a missed field goal that cost them the game. So the Niners are going to be just fine. They're not going to have to play the Browns every week, and I think that their offense will get back in tip-top shape. But they will have to find a way to get the ball to their playmakers when some of the other guys aren't healthy. And the Browns, well, this win came with P.J. Walker under center, the former XFL superstar. So if this team looks like this with a backup quarterback, man, the Browns might be dangerous this year. So while I think both of the losing teams will be able to bounce back, this was a huge win for both the Browns and the Jets, keeping them alive in their respective divisions. And a few other things I want to talk about real quick. A crushing disappointment is that Anthony Richardson may be out for the year because it looks like he may have to get shoulder surgery. And if that's the case, that is a massive blow to the Indianapolis Colts. I also want to point out that the Detroit Lions are currently tied for the best record in the NFL, and that the New England Patriots may be one of the worst teams in football. Imagine saying that 5 years ago. And finally, the Bills almost losing to the Giants on Sunday Night Football tells me that a lot of the top teams in the league this year have got some things to figure out if they want to make a run at the championship. And before I leave you today, I do want to go ahead and give you my official prediction for Week 7's Thursday Night Football. This is a tough game to call. We've got the Jacksonville Jaguars heading down to New Orleans to take on the Saints. And at the time of recording this, Trevor Lawrence is currently day-to-day with a knee injury. The Jaguars, of course, are competing for their division this year and would like to make a deep playoff run, so maybe it's best if they rest Trevor just this one game to make sure he's ready and healthy, because playing him on a short week with a knee injury might not be the best long term. And if that's the case, man, I could see the Saints pulling this one out. So go ahead and be on upset alert for Thursday Night Football. And that is all I've got for you today, folks. Be sure to go ahead and drop a like on this video. It is absolutely free and it helps this channel out more than you know. Be sure to subscribe for all kinds of football news and analysis all season long. And until next time, my name is Andrew and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.